Well, the Canadian men's team has had depth like never before. And this team, when you go down to the crunch of numbers, skews on the younger side of things. And to get more on the younger players that might be in contention for the roster come Qatar, we've reached Alexandre Gangué-Ruzic. He's a web editor with One Soccer and a friend of our show. And let's just get right to it. You know, there's a lot of young players that have featured on the roster. There's a lot of young players that are maybe up and coming that are trying to crack that roster come November. Can we go position by position and maybe your pick for a forward that might crack this roster?
Let's go right through it. Let's go with someone that we've seen in the Canadian shirt, but hasn't necessarily gotten many opportunities. Let's go Theo Corbeanu, young forward, currently on loan at MK Dons from Wolves. He's done a separate stint as well recently with Sheffield Wednesday before getting sent to MK Dons. He's playing at a decent level in England. He's got a lot of promise. Fantastic player. I mean, you look at him, he can play with both feet. He's quick. He's your prototypical winger. He's versatile. There's a reason why John Herdman was so eager to call him in last year for that first camp in March, and he actually scored on his first touch for Canada. So it's not like he's a stranger to playing for Canada. And I think based on what he's shown this year for MK Dons, especially since he's been on loan, scored a nice goal in his one of his first games. He has quieted it down a bit since then, but he's continuing to grow. He's just 19. I think he's on a good path.
Okay, let's turn our attention to the midfield, and I'm going to guess that it's a player we saw flashes of in this last window.
I mean, Ismail Kone, it's a straightforward one. I think what's great about Ismail Kone is that his rise kind of gives optimism to a lot of young players out there that if they have a good run, if they show some good things, the national team is watching. If there's an opportunity, if it all lines up, you will get your shot. If you're, as John Herdman says, if you're good enough, you're old enough. So Ismail Kone was quite the rise, enters 2022 with 0 professional appearances under his belt, gets 7 of them, makes the most of it, plays in some huge environments for CF Montreal and the Estadio Azteca, Atlanta United Stadium. He doesn't look out of place. A couple injuries in midfield open up a spot. Herdman has no fear in bringing him in, and he looked perfectly like someone who could be on the cusp of this roster.
Okay, fullback. And we know John Herdman likes a versatile fullback. Who do you have there?
Well, the one that we're keeping an eye on is Marshall-Rutty, the 17-year-old over at Toronto FC. A lot of talk about him from big clubs for years. We've heard, he could be the next big thing for Canada, for Toronto. And he's finally, last year, he slowly took that step up. And then the start this year, he really started to play and show what he can bring. Normally a winger, he's shown great versatility to play at fullback. He's not necessarily someone that's going to go and burn you with speed, but he's a very technically gifted player. He's someone that likes to pass the ball well. He can play multiple positions, a calling card of John Herdman's. I think having that versatility in the formation that Canada plays, the 17-year-old, based on what he's shown so far in his quick stints, there's a reason why it's expected that even if he doesn't head to Europe in the summer, he's probably going to ink a deal of some sorts, maybe a loan back to Toronto for the rest of the year, and then start his European journey next year. If he continues to get a regular body of work, Canada's depth at the right back position is solid, but there is always room for someone to push in and really, push someone like Richie Laray, who's made that spot his own for Canada. So no reason why his former Toronto FC teammate, and I'm sure understudy over the last few years in Marshall-Rutty, can't make that push up.